Hey Aries, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be taking a look at your first half of July general reading here. So in your meditation, it was short but very strong in symbols. I saw the image of a cheetah immediately. Cheetah, which is very much about sun energy. It's very positive animal totem to have come through for you. So fire energy as well, and you're a fire sign. So I saw the cheetah running through the desert, and then I saw this enormous, gleaming, beautiful sword. And I saw it wrap itself around this sword, and then it was like the light from the sun was coming through the cheetah and went through the sword and just created this beautiful, bright, sunny light. So it was sort of like the power of the sun meeting up with the sword of truth. It's really, really beautiful. It does feel like this for you. Feels like there's either some positive news coming your way or a happy realization about something. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a realization that's like, oh, I'm like super excited about this. It could be, but that really just means like there's such a feeling of relief that comes from seeing something very clearly, maybe even something that's confused or eluded you, having that clarity and having that surety, right? It's like we don't really need to feel confused, right? We don't need to stay in that energy of like, confused and frustrated, and we don't have to cling on to things that really sort of elude our understanding if we just invite that energy of clear perspective in around it. You know what I mean? Things that don't work out, things that don't go our way, a lot of the times where we have trouble releasing them and letting go of them is because we don't understand the why, or we don't understand how that happened. It's that confusion. It's that trying to figure it out. It's that trying to get to the heart of it that can be, that can keep us bound to it, right? Even if it's in the past and should stay there. So within that, the heat and the warmth and the positive energy of the cheetah coming in with that sort of truth, I feel like there is something or a series of things that are either going to be communicated to you or are going to come with and for yourself, realizations that lead to big healing, which is really, really beautiful. Let's go ahead and see what your cards have to say. Hey Aries, let's go ahead and see what your animal energy is for the first oh, that took no time at all, and it is so perfect. I'm so here for this. Okay. So you got the black egg, which is so perfect, Aries. First of all, that circle there is the symbol of spirit, which means that this time for you is incredibly poignant and is going to be a time that it really sets you up for the future moving forward. So it's the time that matters, right? It's a significant time period. It's the equivalent of a major arcana in that way. So with the black egg, this most closely equates to the King of Swords in the Tarot, which is interesting because we were just talking about the Ace of Swords in the meditation. Now, the black egg with the King of Swords, this is about the truth. The black egg says, the truth is infallible. The truth is always the way. There's nothing else but the truth and truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, King of Swords. That's what the black egg is. So it's so brilliant that we saw that, like the truth of the illumination of the sun and enlightenment that is so perfect for you right now. The thing about the black egg as well, if you consider that imagery, it kind of looks like a dragon's egg, right? Looks protected and has scales on it. It is a dragon's egg, right? So dragon energy is about seeing yourself and others very clearly. There is a lot of healing that is going to come as a result of insights or truths that are communicated to you that either lead to further truths or realizations. I feel like you're going to be getting answers to things. That's what this feels like. The answers come. The answers arrive. That's what this feels like. Clarity, answers, enlightenment. Sign me up. I'm here for it, Aries. It's like, don't tempt me with a good time. Like that's really what it feels like. It's like, it doesn't necessarily matter as much what the communication or answers are, because it just feels so good to have clarity, to have the truth, and to be sure of it, right? There's a lot of healing that comes from that. It's really, really beautiful. Wow. So we have the moon here, major arcana to start off, Piscean energy. So the moon is very much about the unknown. Funny, because we're talking about answers and clarity. We said that the cheetah was aligned with the sun energy in the tarot, and then we get the moon. So what happens, right? The moon is about the unknown and the questions, and the sun is about illumination and clarity and answers. So this is really interesting how we're coming in here. You know what's interesting with the wolf and the fish here as well? I feel like because the wolf relates to the Hierophant and the tarot, Taurus energy, which is everything being exactly as it's meant to be. And then the fish here, Pisces energy, the moon, fish medicine is very much about allowing yourself to go with the flow. And in doing so, aligning yourself to your highest and best good and divine timing. You know, I feel like this is directly speaking to not just the answers that are coming your way, but I feel like this is going to shift your direction moving forward. It feels like this is something from the past or something related to someone from the past that comes through, gets cleared up, and it's like a new road emerges as a result of this realization or information. That's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. It's beautiful. Okay, what else is going on? Oh my. Did I not just say a new road forms and then you have the Fool here? Another major arcana with the wolf and then the rabbit? Are you serious? The Fool is a fresh, brand new start. It's a new path emerging ahead before you. This is really beautiful. What I'm really obsessed with here, though, we just talked about the wolf energy, but rabbit energy. Rabbit is one of those energies where the dark side of it is living in fear, being paralyzed by fear, but the light side of it is fertility and abundance, right? This is really interesting because this looks like a bit of a timid wolf. Like, should I take this leap of faith? Should I go for it? And then this may directly relate to you extinguishing or healing a long-held fear within you. And that is very, very powerful because fear is very potent, but the truth around something or realization around something or someone, the way that something did or didn't happen, something related to something that has eluded you or confused you, really does lead to a new path ahead. It's like you got your answers, you got your clarity, and now you're able to move forward unencumbered. Good Lord, it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, Aries. I'm so here for it. What else is going on? Oh, wow. Look who's on the bottom here. First of all, this is on the bottom. You got the sun on the bottom here. Not a cheetah, but definitely a cat of a predator cat. What is that? An animal of prey? What do they call them? It's really amazing, right? Really beautiful. Okay. So the Ten of Wands here, but more fish going on. So it's fascinating here because the Ten of Wands is about the end of one cycle before the beginning of another. This can also speak to changing homes, moving homes or locations, going from one place to another. So it's interesting that we're looking at a transition point. It's like this illumination, this truth, this realization, this clarity not only leads to a new path forward, but it also results in the ending of some pretty significant cycles or relationships. But it's really beautiful. You know, I am picking up though, because I can feel it here with the rabbit. I do feel like there's, you know, an aspect of this that does feel a bit unsure, uncertain, afraid. This looks like a very timid wolf. But there's really something about, you know, going forward and moving ahead, even though it may seem like it's going to require a lot of you, require a leap of faith, or require a shift or change to your circumstances, or require ABC, XYZ, I want to speak to you of wish fulfillment, because that's what I'm picking up on here. Wish fulfillment is a funny thing, because we wish for something, and then we get it, and suddenly the term, be careful what you wish for, comes to mind. The reason behind that is that change can be scary, which is the Fool, right? The rabbit here. Change can be scary. And oftentimes when we get what we wanted, it requires us to change because it's a shift in our circumstances. And that can elicit a lot of fear. And it's like, why am I so afraid? I got what I wanted. Well, because there's one thing to wish for something, and then it's another thing to get it. And I feel like there's an element of that within this reading. But it's like, oh God, like I got it, but now I gotta like, put my money where my mouth is and like follow through on this. And I feel like it's a very significant nod to you sort of breaking old patterns of thought, belief, or behavior, where you're being asked to sort of, because you're going to have something clarified that flies in the face of a core belief that you had, is what I'm feeling. But I feel like it's a good thing, but it kind of challenges something in a way where it's like, just let me give an example here. Random example coming to mind. Let's say that you went through a breakup many, many years ago, and you didn't really have a lot of clarity on why it ended. And so you became convinced that it was for a certain reason. And you went on and you kind of carried this belief along with you that, this thing happened. And so I can be abandoned at any time. I can't trust anyone because, this relationship ended and I didn't get any answers. And it was very sudden, all of these things. So you have this core belief system that's embedded in you from an early experience. And then something happens where you suddenly run into that person, years and years later, and it comes out that like, oh, actually, it wasn't what you thought. Like they didn't want to break up with you, but they're just a random example. But like, they had a death in the family and they had to go do this and it led to one thing after the other. And it wasn't that they wanted to abandon you or hurt you in any way, that it was more about them than it was you. And then you're shaken to the core and you're like, oh my God, I thought it was this all this time. It's a core belief that I had that now has been shaken up, and it has informed a lot of the choices that I've made along the way. What do I do with that information? It's that kind of, that is just a really like random example that comes to mind. But that's what we're talking about here. It's almost as if a story that you've told yourself or something that was embedded in you a long time ago gets clarified and you're like, oh my God. It can even be something like, let's say you grew up seeing your parents work really hard and you had the belief embedded in you, like, no pain, no gain. Or like if it's not hard work, then it's not, worthy work. So you believe that, and you think that in order to gain anything, you have to like really work so hard to the point of exhaustion, like you saw your parents model, right? And then you learn at some point later in life that like that was something that it's not actually true, and that you can actually like enjoy life and work from a place of ease and still have abundance. Right? It's sort of those core belief systems that once illumination or clarity comes, it really shifts things on your path forward. This could also be information or realizations that come that really ask you, like, do you really want what you say you want? And it really asks you to look at those things. What is your truth? That's the black egg. What is your truth? What are your belief systems? What do you know to be true? Versus what stories have you been telling yourself, right? Look what's at the bottom of this deck, the moon. Fascinating. Let's go ahead and get advice for you, Aries. But it feels like a big shift. It does feel like a big shift and the clarity comes. Oh, I love it. Ooh, look what's on the bottom. Ten of Wands again for you. This is amazing. So, and then underneath that is the Fool. It just keeps going with these repeat energies. Here for it. So your advice is the Six of Pentacles, which is really beautiful. Firstly, I want to point out that even though this is a dragon's egg, chickens lay eggs. And so I like that we're coming in full circle around that. Six of Pentacles is gorgeous because it's really about reciprocity, giving and receiving, right? So the fact that this is your advice, I am really, really hearing to trust in the universe and to really trust that you're always going to have what you need, and to really allow yourself to give and receive in equal measure. That can be very difficult. For the most part, people are either better at receiving or they're better at giving, right? And you're being asked with the Six of Pentacles as your advice to really consider your relationship to each. Which one do you inherently feel more comfortable with? And you're being asked to balance that out a bit more for some reason that's going to affect you positively moving forward. If you're really comfortable with giving, but you're not as great with receiving, a good way to test that for yourself is ask yourself, how good are you at receiving compliments? Do you shrug them off? Do you make a joke? Do you, or do you say thank you? And do you just receive that compliment fully? That's a really good diagnostic around that. You're being asked to really consider your relationship to that. So if you're really good at giving, really shift that so that you're in a place to receive, right? Receive this information, receive this goodness coming to you. On the reverse side of that, if you're really good at receiving and you've got that down, that's brilliant. Then look at your relationship to giving and how you can really within yourself, be more of a presence for giving to others so that you can help enrich others and the way that you have been enriched by others and being able to receive so much, right? So it's really person specific, but you're also, with the Six of Pentacles, being asked to really consider teamwork, being asked to consider others in your given environment, and really, really look at reciprocity, what it means to you and what it looks like in your reality and what it looks like to you ideally as well, with equal give and take. What does that look like? And what is your relationship to that? Down to the black egg and that core of truth, okay? Really beautiful. Let's go ahead and get an oracle. I'm feeling like this one. Let's get an oracle for Aries. Oh my God, it's so good. The Wise Woman of Wonderland, integrity, compromise. Look at that rabbit there. Can you even? So this is brilliant. The Wise Woman of Wonderland, integrity, compromise. The Wise Woman of Wonderland is all about honesty and how you say things and how the only thing that matters in the world is your honest truth and your word, that you're only as good as your word. So it's really, really interesting that this is coming up here in this context when we saw that Ace of Swords with the sun and the illumination, and then we have, the unknown and new paths forged and teamwork and all of these things, what it's going to require of you. This really, interestingly enough, when we talk about compromise, that's an offset of reciprocity, because when we're willing to compromise, we're willing to work with others in a way that is fair and equal and benefits the whole, right? So that's really interesting that that's coming up in this way as well. But this says, consider your words carefully. And that also extends to how you speak to and for yourself, right? Your thoughts are things. So what is the state of your thoughts? But also we see this sword, and then we have this ending oracle here that is all about the truth, right? The truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, King of Swords, right? That's what this is. So this is saying, at the end of the day, all you really have is your word and your integrity. So if that is in check, if that feels like that's aligned and balanced for you with the black egg that sits at the core of your throat and is your inner truth, then that's all that really, really matters. But anything that questions that or threatens that in any way is being asked to be really seen by you and considered, because there could be some elements in your experience, whether internally and or externally, that are not necessarily within the, integrity lined landscape that you aspire to live in, right? Within which you aspire to live, I should say, right? It's interesting, this with the Six of Pentacles. I feel like you're really being asked to consider the truth and see clearly what is working and what is not in terms of your interpersonal relationships and your relationship with yourself in terms of give and take, right? It's really beautiful, Aries. It really is. It feels like all of this is working together, and it's going to lead to a lot of clarity and some very happy changes ahead for you. It feels really, really good. But don't be afraid to speak the truth, and don't be afraid to hear the truth, because that feels incredibly important. And really, it's a cliche for a really good reason. The truth really does set you free. That is so beautiful. So with that being said, my beautiful Aries, I'm sending you so many blessings for this first half of July. I so hope that this helped and resonates. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. I would so appreciate that. And with that being said, just thank you. Thank you so, so much for being here. And most of all, and as always, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.